Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your hosts, Adam Emmert.
Honestly, out of all the games remaining on the schedule, the one that worries me the most is this game.
And Brandan Schultz.
How many former Seahawks need to be on the 49ers defense before we're obligated to cheer for the entire team?
Go Hawks!
This is episode 229 of the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandan Schultz of the Military Seahawkers. And joining me, my good buddy, Montana Seahawker Adam Emmert.
Oh, it's awesome to join you today, Brandon, and bask even more in the glow of a big win in Carolina and the upcoming game against the Richard Shermans. Richard Sherman and the Sherminators. Right. Yeah.
It's the entire storyline of San Francisco. It was the reason why this game was going to be a primetime game and got flexed to an afternoon game, unfortunately, when the 49ers started to stink. But we will talk more about that, of course, with the win over Carolina. I could keep talking about that game for the next couple weeks, actually.
Well, yeah, in a lot of ways, because it was that monumental. I mean, we talked about it a little bit in the post-game wrap-up where we really kind of covered the game. It was just the idea of this being a kind of watershed game for the team and something that you might look back on and be like, that was the moment that this team coalesced and this whole season kind of came together and they went on their run. So, yeah, it'd be easy to talk about it the whole time, but instead of just breaking down the whole game, I think, Brandon, that there are some people throughout this game that need an award, a medal.
We need to recognize some people specifically for specific things. And so, yes, we will give away some awards and we will talk about this upcoming game against the 49ers. Of course, get into some do better at life and some news around some of the players and injuries and that sort of thing. So let's get right into it and start off with talking about one of our favorite topics. Russell Carrington Wilson. With the win on Sunday, Russell Wilson now has 71 regular season victories, goes past Dave Krieg's franchise record for wins, who he was tied with up until last week, with 70 wins in the regular season.
Oh, so when he got one more, he went from 70 to 71?
Yeah, that's how math works.
Wow, that's crazy.
And now he's in the lead.
How does it feel for Dave Krieg to be passed up? Because I know how near and dear Dave Krieg is to your heart. He's a little more lukewarm in my heart, but yeah, he's definitely near and dear to you.
That was my guy growing up. So yeah. I've always been a huge Dave Krieg fan. It doesn't make me sad.
On the good days, you bet. Yeah. He was unstoppable.
Yeah, he was so up and down, but it was just the fact that he seemed, he wasn't Joe Montana. He wasn't, who were the other elite quarterbacks kind of that time? Dan Marino. He was just
John Elway, Phil Simms, the guys of that ilk.
He was like a dude. Yeah. And you I think you empathize with him more because he could go out and have that bad game and, it just
fumble it 16 times.
Right. But then he'd go out and throw for 4 touchdowns and 350 yards on a Monday night game, when it mattered.
Well, that's interesting that's why you enjoyed his play so much, because that would suggest to me that you like crazy girls, like you would date crazy girls. And I've met your wife and she's none of those things. So I don't know.
You learn from your childhood experiences and you go, know what? Maybe I don't like that as much as I thought I did.
Yeah, the best of days and then like absolute crazy town days that you're just like, what? How did I get here?
Yeah, I've grown more to be a consistent person, and maybe I have Dave Krieg to thank for that.
And maybe that's why you're not so upset that Russell Wilson has now passed him in wins, because he is the ultimate marriage material, right? Like, he's just nice and steady. You know what you're going to get. It's just pretty damn good all the time. And that's that.
And once he gets to the fourth quarter, you just know that he has those clutch moments in him.
Going to come through.
I watched some of the game day prime after the game. And Deion Sanders, he often interviews
when you ball, you get the call.
Which I am super glad that they took the calls and put them outside of the show, because every call is the same.
No way.
Deion Sanders goes, "Oh man, you had a great game. You did that one play. You were so great." And the player goes, "Oh, well, I got my teammates to thank, and it was really a team effort. And
I'm a big fan of you, Prime. And
I bet you could still beat me in a race, Prime."
Yep.
Every single call is like that. So I'm glad that they took that out and put those interviews separate so I can just go and see Russell Wilson's. I don't have to watch all the other players.
Yes, no kidding.
And I think this irked a lot of people this last week of just
I guess
how...
so. Yeah, I've seen some comments and I don't know. It didn't ruffle my feathers nearly as much, but there's some people. This got under their skin.
Well, here was Deion Sanders' comments to Russell Wilson in the interview.
We don't fear anything, and we got to have no fear when you're playing this game.
Well, I'm proud of you, man. Seems like when the game on the line, I see you running around, scrambled, and you get outside the pocket. You get outside the pocket and make a play. That's what I see week in and week out. Like, that's your MO. That's what you do to take this team to just the opportunity to get the wild card. You know, if you get in the wild card, anything could happen, man. I'm proud of you, Russ.
He's proud of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson does a great job, getting his team in a spot to win. But then later in the show, when Carissa Thompson's asking him, the panel of Deion and LT and Shannon Sharp, are the Seahawks going to be a playoff team, down the stretch? And then you hear this from Prime.
Every time I watch the Seahawks, first of all, that defense isn't the defense that we knew and loved. I'm a defensive guy. Let's just stop right there. Now, the second part is, every time I see them, I see Russell running for his life. Yeah. Now I see Russell, last name Wilson, running for his life, stopping, making a miraculous play, and a receiver has separated from the defender, and he makes that play. Yeah. That stuff don't happen. Yes, it does. When it comes down to it, those last two games,
you're right.
Those last two games of the season, especially one round in the you saying get to the playoffs?
Yes, all I'm saying.
It's not gonna happen.
So every time he sees Russell do it, running around making plays, then 2 seconds later he says that stuff doesn't happen. What are you talking about? Every time it happens.
Well, not only that, but if you've been paying attention, Russell Wilson's been beating you from the pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. This year,
that 4th and 3, just even in this last game.
Just think of how many scribble plays there have been this year compared to last year, where Russell Wilson just runs around in circles and does 14 pirouettes and then throws the ball. Like this year compared to last year, I don't even think it's comparable. I mean, Russ has been playing from the pocket.
Every one of those 3 deep throws from this last game were from the pocket. Now,
he may have slid in the pocket.
Right. Yeah, especially that one, the last throw to Lockett. Yeah, he slid out just to the left a little bit because he had and Sweezy was right there to block his dude. He made a great block to give Russell Wilson that extra moment of time before the linebackers started coming up at him and delivered it downfield to Lockett.
You know what was crazy about that? I think in years past, you would have seen Russ with that pressure coming up the middle like that, do the spin like to the left side of the line where he like turns his back to the line and spins and like try to get out and create that way. I think in years past, that's what he would have done. But because he is trusting Sweezy, because he is trusting that offensive line, he sees that guy screaming in and he knows Sweezy has him and just does the little slide step to the left, a la Tom Brady, and drops a dime to Lockett and we win the game.
This was just the 4th time in the Pete Carroll era where you had 2 wide receivers with 100-yard games. Just the 4th time.
Yeah. Well, they're not a big throwing team. No. So going back to Prime's comments, so it's the two-facedness. Is that what frustrates you?
Just, the willing to heap such praise on Russell and then turn around and make it sound as though that's not sustainable for him, even though he's so used to seeing it.
So a couple things here. Number one, if you're a media member, you've got to be a little two-faced because you gotta write an article that's like a little too critical of somebody for the clicks, right? And then when you finally get access to those people, you only get access to them because, you take the one knee approach when you're kissing ass. So it puts the booty right in front of your face, right? Like, and that's how it works, even if you're Deion Sanders. I mean, the only guy that I see that's been pretty good at this, like not giving that two-faced thing, has been Colin Cowherd.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like ripping Baker Mayfield and then having him come in and more or less saying what he said on air directly to his face. Now, he
tones it down a little bit, but
yes, a little more pleasant package, but
he's not afraid to go there.
Yeah. He doesn't back off from his criticisms,
Right.
So I guess it doesn't surprise me that that's the way that it would be. And the other thing is, if you listen to the comments where he's critical, it's not that he's criticizing Russell Wilson at that point. It's that he doesn't have any help, and so he's having to run around, for his life and make plays just to get them over the hump. It's not that he's criticizing Russell at that point. It's more he's criticizing the rest of the team around him, is how it came off to me.
I think I want to be done talking about Deion Sanders. I want to talk about giving out some awards.
Deion does not get an award this week. Yeah,
no award
from
for
Brandan
Deion.
Schultz.
No.
Okay. All right.
The one guy I'm starting the award off with is the I Need to See That Again award. And that one goes to Chris Carson.
1st and 10, Seahawks. Hand off to Chris Carson. He breaks through. He tries to leap. Whoa, he's still on his feet. Are you kidding me? He did a 360 in the air, came down on his feet, and kept running out to the 35-yard line.
That was a backflip.
Holy catfish. What a play by Chris Carson. Flipped up in the air, lands on his feet, doesn't touch down.
How in the world?
My word.
He's like a cat.
Now, see, I have to correct both Rabel and Wyman, though, because he didn't do a 360 in the air, and he didn't do a backflip. What Chris Carson did was a Barani.
I said a what?
It's a Barani. It's a gymnastic term when a guy goes up and does essentially part front flip and part 180.
Like side flip?
Yeah.
It was more of a side flip.
It was a Barani.
Barani? That sounds like some move from like a Bollywood film, like from one of their dance numbers.
I saw a guy on YouTube doing it on a trampoline. And
well, that's
Chris
not
Carson,
nearly as impressive.
No, it's not.
Well, okay, yeah, I think Chris Carson definitely gets that award.
I had to watch that play about 20 times just to see exactly how many rotations he got. Not believing my eyes that he actually landed on his feet every time.
Yeah, I was really impressed that Carrie Strug listens to the show and made sure to reach out to Chris Carson afterwards. Like, that was great.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. It was, Trey Wingo, I think, shouted her out. And
yeah, because he stole my commentary.
He stole your commentary. She saw it. And I think you deserve credit for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because nobody else have I heard has turned that maneuver into the verb strugged it.
That's true.
Yeah. Which I think fits.
I don't know if it was fair to give him a deduction, though. She said that he got a deduction for putting his hand on the ground.
Oh, yeah. You take points away for that. Unless you're a Homer judge.
Maybe.
Yeah, you know the East German judge was taking a point off for that.
Well, I know the Homer judge in Adam Emmert is going to approve of this next award because it is the Barry Sanders Celebration Award, sponsored by Adam the Curmudgeon.
This could be ball game. Russell takes the shotgun snap, looks. Now he's going to throw down the far sideline. Got a man out there reaching up, making the catches more. Touchdown, Seahawks. David Moore running stride for stride with the defender. Cord Elder, 35 yards out, and Russell threw it on the dime perfectly, and I don't think Elder ever saw it, but David Moore did.
Now, to get the true feeling of the Barry Sanders Celebration Award, you have to go back and you have to watch this, because David Moore catches the pass, turns the official.
More or less one-handed, yeah.
More or less one-handed, but then he shows no emotion, just flips the ball to the official right after the play like a boss.
It's like he's been there before on a huge play.
And really, this is his first year playing.
I know. I'm really liking David Moore.
I thought you would like that.
I mean, all those offseason stories that we heard and all through last year, you're starting to see it happen on the football field, game in and game out. Like it's kind of all the time. This guy's making some spectacular catches in contested situations. And I'm really excited about what he brings to the offense. But going back to that play, having watched it from the end zone angle, one of the things that's amazing to me is just how ballsy Russell is. Because if you watch the play, he's got three dudes going out in a route, Lockett on a crosser. And he's got his guy in trail technique. He's got him beat off the line. The linebacker is playing middle of the field, and Lockett's running behind the linebacker. And I'd imagine that linebacker looked like he was in zone, so I'd imagine he'd stayed in that spot. If Russell would have waited another 2-3 seconds or another, second and a half or something about like that.
Yeah, half a tick.
Lockett would have cleared that linebacker, and he's got a 10, 12-yard strike right there. Boom. He sees that. He looks it off and uncorks it to the end zone for David Moore. On 4th and freaking 3. With maybe the game on the line.
Yeah. And that wasn't an easy catch by Moore either. Like we talked about in the post game, he fought through a little hand fighting and essentially caught it one-handed. And after he had it in his one hand, dude tried to punch it out, and he was still able to hold on to it.
Yeah, that was a gigantic play. And kudos to David Moore for just flipping the ball to the official and just being like, yeah, we scored a touchdown and we're going to beat these chumps because that's who we are. Although I will say, I do enjoy the group celebrations.
Right.
And the reason I enjoy that instead of like Cam Newton like running around like a 4-year-old, and
it's a look at me thing rather than a team celebration type thing.
Right.
I like all this when the Steelers were doing their group celebrations. I like those.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a big difference there. I know some people don't. They like Cam and his look at me antics, but I find him deplorable and disgusting. And call me corny for saying it, but I think it's awful.
I'll call you corny. I don't care.
Okay, fine.
What'd you think of the step over? You missed it the first time.
I did miss it the first time. I actually did go back and watch that, and very well done. Very well done. I mean, just the positioning of everybody. Like, if you were to go and roll back the tape from that NBA Finals game against the Lakers.
Have you seen the side-by-side? Somebody did a side-by-side of it.
I was going to say, it's got to be really close.
It's really close.
Yeah.
Whereas the Nolan Ryan, Robin Ventura one that they did.
I didn't get that one at all. No.
It was a little bit off. Nolan Ryan actually put Ventura in a headlock. They didn't even do the headlock.
Oh, they didn't? Oh, okay. No. I missed that too. Yeah, that one was lost on me. I'm just not a baseball guy, but that one I really like. Iverson liked it too.
That's good.
Can you imagine how much practice they put into that? We're talking about practice.
Practice?
Not a game.
One of the all-timers. That has to be number one. For press conference moments?
I don't know. Playoffs is right there.
I don't think... Playoffs is good. If you want
to crown them is right there.
It's that one's a little bit lower down for me.
Wasn't there a Herm Edwards one that was pretty good? That wasn't Don't Press Send?
Put your name on it. Wasn't that Herm Edwards?
Oh, no. Hello, you play to win the game.
Yeah, Herm had some good ones.
Sorry, I took us off the track. Who else gets awards? Awards for everyone.
Hey, that guy did something. This award sponsored by Clinton Bonner, a 3 in, 3 out.
1st and 10. In motion is Lockett. Play fake. Russell avoids one man. Throws downfield. Trey Madden wide open. 10. 5. Puts his shoulder pads down. I think he's going to be down at the 1. Trey Madden was wide open on the right sideline. Russell with the play fake, and nobody covered. Trey Madden out of the backfield, the fullback, picks up 28 all the way down to the half-yard line, and Seahawks are about 8 inches away from tying this game up.
I think it's safe to say that Carolina's defensive coordinator and all of their defensive personnel were just as surprised that Trey Madden was out on a pass route as Clinton Bonner was.
Yeah. Who?
Wait, what?
Runner-up for that award went to Naz Jones for his big tackle for a loss at the goal line on 3rd and 2.
How about that receiver I've never heard of that made a catch early in the second quarter?
Malik Turner. We've talked about Malik Turner. He was the dude that had Matt Hasselbeck's number and then switched to Dave Craig's number.
That conversation wasn't exactly memorable for me. Seriously, I totally forgot about that. And when he caught the ball, I'm like, Malik, the who?
Uh-huh.
Did you recognize the name when he caught that pass?
That's the dude that took over for Brandon Marshall. I told you this guy was on my radar from his number selection.
All right. I remember.
Do you?
Well, now.
How about the underrated turning point of the game in this game? Not the 4th and 3, the touchdown to Moore, because that was well covered on the NFL turning point video this week. But how about Bradley McDougald in the end zone?
Caffrey lines up just to the right hip of Cam Newton. Takes a shotgun snap. Play fake. Going to throw to the end zone. Got a man there. Ball is tipped up and intercepted. Bradley McDougald in the end zone. Ball intended for Chris Manhertz, the tight end, at the goal line. And Bradley McDougald tips it up to himself and picks it off in the end zone. And Dave, there's that takeaway you were talking about that the Seahawks needed.
Look, Richard Sherman, he had Malcolm Smith. But Bradley McDougald, he had Austin Calitro there, but he said, I'm just going to do this myself, and picks it off. And the reason why I picked that as the turning point, I mean, if the Panthers score there, a touchdown, it's 20-10. Instead, Seattle comes back and takes the 17-13 lead after that turnover.
Yeah, that was a gigantic play. It was really one of the few stops that we've had on the day. Major turning point in the game. The defense, while getting shredded pretty much the entire game by check down passes to Christian McCaffrey, who would have known, was maddening. And it was difficult to watch. But give the defense a lot of credit because they did buckle down in the red zone. And whether that's picking off a pass the way McDougal did or holding them to field goals on, I want to say, 4 of their 7 possessions down in the red zone, that's good stuff. A field goal or less with the interception.
Yeah, and the 4th down stop.
That's how you play defense in today's NFL. And everybody looks at the yards and everything, but let's look at points per game. And they managed to hold Carolina to fewer points in those situations. And it makes a difference, it turns out.
What's more important, having more yards or scoring more points?
I'm going to go with, points.
Points. Yes, that's how they determine the winners of games.
Golly. Can I put one other play of the game for me, that turning point in the game that I don't think we talked about enough right after the game was Trey Flowers' tackle.
Yes.
On 3rd down on the Panthers' final possession.
That was critical because that kept them to a 52-yard field goal try for Gano. Had he been 5 yards closer, maybe that goes in.
It's not even about if it's closer to me. What it is to me is if they pick up a first down there, they run a few more plays and there's way less time on the clock.
Well, and that's true too.
I mean, that's the part of it that to me is the big saving grace of
Seattle's
him
out of timeouts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was huge.
One thing that I didn't even consider in that game was that 4th down or the 3rd down spike with 4 seconds left, because you have Russell out there taking knees for a play. And then on 3rd down, he has to spike it. And it didn't even cross my mind that
There's
might.
A difference there?
Well, I understand the difference, but if he has a brain fart in that moment and takes a knee instead of spiking it, then the game's over.
I'm really glad you brought that up because he took the knee the first couple plays, and I, like you, I don't think my head was in that space. And then when he took the ball and he spiked it, the second he spiked it, I went, oh
yeah.
Oh, man. Because I'm thinking he's going to take a knee. It's the little things, man. Crap like that adds up. That's one thing I'm so impressed with the way the team finished. And I'm talking about the details, right? Lack of penalties, doing the little things right. Like when you saw them getting ready to kick that final field goal, like trying to think of all of the things that could screw this up for you. You see Pete Carroll out on the field wiping his chest, right? Trying to make sure that the tackle declares eligible, and just all the little things. Russell Wilson spiking it instead of kneeling it. It's that sort of attention to detail. That's the difference between winning and losing in this league, especially in these sort of close games. And just hats off. Hats off to the entire coaching staff, the players, everybody. They were on it this week.
I even want to give a little bit of credit to Shaquille Griffin. We don't have the Steve Rabel call for this play, but how about on that Christian McCaffrey 59-yard run? Shaquille Griffin was the guy running him down from behind, taking him down by the shoulders and putting him on the ground, a clean tackle from behind. Most guys you see do the horse collar from that position. But, you hear Pete Carroll and the defense talk about defending every blade of grass. And Christian McCaffrey's not a slow guy. Shaquille Griffin ran him down from behind.
Maximum effort for sure. I wish that would have resulted in them holding them to a field goal, but unfortunately it was like 2 plays later they punched it in. So.
Yeah, he got another 15-yard run, but you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you could just let him run it in for a touchdown.
It's giving yourself the opportunity, right? Yeah, absolutely. No quit. No fear, Brandon.
No fear. No quitting.
I don't know how many. Did you hear about the not having any fear? Have you heard about not having fear in big moments? No fear.
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson maybe said that a couple times.
I busted out. Today I'm wearing my No Fear T-shirt from 1997, actually, underneath my hoodie here.
I bet Russell doesn't even know that there was a No Fear line of clothing in the 90s.
Here's the funny thing. I actually Googled it because I was like, what year did No Fear stop being made? Apparently it started in 1971, which is way earlier than I knew. Because I know its popularity was primarily in the 90s.
Right.
Maybe early 2000s. Apparently, it's still in production somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hot Topic? You think they still carry the No Fear shirts?
I haven't seen a Hot Topic. That can't be. They can't be in business anymore. Hot Topic.
I think they still are.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to send Russell Wilson a No Fear T-shirt.
Can we send it to Seabass? I mean, he was a high schooler in the 90s.
Yeah. And special teams player of the week for the NFC.
Deservedly so for the game-winning field goal.
He was excited. That was kind of a fun moment. Like, that's a field goal he should make. It wasn't that far and all that, but he was very fired up, and everybody was pretty excited. That was fun.
You say it was close. That's not easy. That's a game on the line. I mean, Blair Walsh missed a lot of those.
Yeah, that's Blair Walsh. But, I mean, if you're a competent field goal kicker, like anything in the 30s, 30 to 39-yard field goal, like, you need to make those 9 times out of 10.
Or 99 times out of 100.
9.9, yeah.
KJ Wright in the news, off getting special treatment this week. Doesn't sound like he will be playing in this upcoming game against the 49ers. He's getting special treatment, but not the same special treatment that he got before for his knee.
It almost sounds like he's gone to the Netherlands to the red light district or something.
Special treatment.
Yeah, gonna go find some ladies of the night to help him out or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried about that. This doesn't sound good, man. I don't think we're going to be seeing KJ for the rest of the year, especially with Kendricks coming back here after the Niners game.
Yeah.
I don't have a good feeling about this at all. That's trending in the wrong direction.
I've heard some people speculating on KJ Wright retirement after this year because this is his last contract year.
I guess it just depends on his desire to play. I mean, that's up to him, of course, but he could get one more pretty good payday out on the free agent market.
Maybe. I mean, he has to.
I mean, it wouldn't be a monster. It wouldn't be like a top linebacker deal, but like it's going to be millions of dollars.
Yeah, an incentive laden type contract, maybe.
It'd be better than the deal that Sherm got.
I don't think so.
Are you serious? A guy with like a borderline knee injury compared to a dude coming off 2 Achilles surgeries?
Different position, though.
That makes it even all the more perplexing that he would get less than Sherman. You got to run so much more as a corner, and speed is so much more of your game as a corner. An Achilles injury, and then you have surgery on the other one too.
I think he still got a $5 million base though for Sherman, didn't he?
Yeah, I would expect KJ to get that.
I'd take you up on that bet.
Oh, cool. Do you want to bet $5 million? Because I'll take your $5 million.
No, I'm definitely more in the trading places bet realm.
What an interesting week, though, with after this big win, sets the Seahawks up for a potential run here to the playoffs that looks very promising. And the way that they have changed, the whole national narrative has changed around this team suddenly. I see guys like Nick Wright, Fox Sports, putting Russell Wilson suddenly as number 3 in his MVP candidates.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, just all of a sudden, Russell Wilson's just getting it done, having the best season of his career, blah, bitty, blah. And like everybody's talking about how terrible this team was and how Russ was struggling all year long. It's amazing. He has one game where he throws over 300 yards and suddenly he's awesome again.
I think people are looking at, because a lot of those guys look at the numbers and they look at Jared Goff, and then you see Russell Wilson has just 1 fewer touchdown pass than Goff does.
No. Touchdowns don't matter. It's yards. How many fewer yards does he have, Brandon?
It's probably a lot. Yeah. I'm sure Jared Goff has way more throwing yards.
Who has fewer picks? I'd be curious because Russ has 5. I don't know where Goff sits right now.
I have not put them side to side, but I'm liking this different national narrative. You hear people talking about how fun this Seahawks team is to watch, and it is different. Like Deion Sanders notices, Russell Wilson can make plays when he needs to make plays. They're recognizing Russell Wilson as the fourth quarter comeback player like he is. And it's fun to know that even if you're down by 10 points in the fourth quarter, that you have a team that still has a shot.
The funny part to me from the national perspective is that I can't get a sense of where they all fall, like where the national narrative is on the defense, because I can hear either one or two stories when it comes to the defense. Either it's a terrible defense, Russell Wilson's doing it all, or it's a top 10 defense. They're actually pretty great. And the funny thing is is the truth is somewhere in between. They're an okay defense.
They're fine. They're okay. Yeah.
They're okay.
They can make things happen when they need to make things happen. And they can play well enough for the team to get the win.
To keep you in position to win. Yep.
I think that was our idea of what we expected from this team going into the season, with the idea that you had Russell Wilson and you had enough guys on defense to keep them in games. And that's why we looked at that and said, yeah, it's 8-8, 9-7. That's kind of seems like where the floor of our expectations.
It's kind of crazy. Short of Shaquille Griffin struggling a little bit more than I would have guessed.
Right.
That's probably the biggest surprise to me. But and we
thought Earl Thomas would be playing.
Yeah, we did. I guess that'd be the other thing is the play of the safeties minus Earl Thomas has been really good.
Yeah.
I mean, we found our guys. T2 is the real deal. And so
he had a rough week against Carolina, though.
Everybody on that team had a rough week.
That's true.
Even B-Wags had a rough week, and he's superhuman.
You know, going back to the Carolina game, the one thing I'm a little bit down about, this game against the Panthers ended Seattle's streak of 7 straight games with 150 yards on the ground. Only 6 other teams since 1978 have done that, have had 7 or more straight games with that many rushing yards. Let me run down the list. The 84 Rams, the 86 Bears, and the 2004 Falcons, they all had 7. The 2 teams higher than that were the 1984 Raiders, who had 8 straight games, and the 1985 Bears, who had 9 straight games. And of course, that was the team that won the Super Bowl.
Interesting. Yeah, that was quite the run there, as far as how many, pun not exactly intended, of them stretching together a bunch of really good rushing performances. It's not that this week was even bad, though, to be honest. I mean, they moved the ball on the ground when they needed to, and then took advantage of them really selling out to stop the run on every single play and let Russell Wilson slice them and dice them up. That's the whole point of running the hell out of the football, is that if they do eventually try to legitimately take that away from you, then good luck, because Russ is going to kill you.
Do you know what all those teams I just listed have in common?
Your mom?
They all made the playoffs.
Oh, well, I like that.
84 Rams lost in the wild card round to the Giants. The Bears in 86 lost in the division round to the Skins. Falcons lost in the NFC Championship to the Eagles in 04. The 84 Raiders lost to the Seahawks in the wild card round. Mm-hmm. And of course, the Bears won the Super Bowl.
So, speaking of the playoffs, I think we both feel pretty good about the chances of the Seahawks making a run here and making the playoffs, right? With the Niners twice, the Cardinals, and then Vikings-Chiefs. Those are your games. Your only road game being against the Niners. That looks pretty good. I mean, I came into the season, I'm pretty sure I said 10-6 was my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go 10-6.
I feel like they should. With that schedule.
Yeah.
And being at home that many games.
Yep.
4-1 feels like the floor.
Right. With the Chiefs game being the one that you look at as like not sure that one's winnable. Although the more I think about it, isn't that the second to the last game of the year? Isn't that week 16?
It is. They're going to be going for home field, though.
I think they're 2 games up on the Patriots right now, aren't they?
I think they're only 1.
Okay, well, I mean, according to national media, the Patriots are cooked again. I mean, it's amazing. Like, all of a sudden, they're the worst team, and then they're back, and now Tom Brady's old again. Like, I don't know. Like, he could drop a game.
Yeah.
Even if they are going for home field. I mean, I'm just thinking about it. High-flying offense with a quarterback that does make mistakes on the road, going into a stadium that, I'm telling you, man, end of December in the clink can be pretty chilly. Like that can be a cold weather game, but that maybe rain in, the ball's slippery, a team that plays no defense.
Yeah.
Like I see a legitimate path to victory for the Seahawks in that game. I mean, they have a real strong chance. They could really run the table here. They could. I mean, without being like a homer, like just looking at it and being like, is there a legit chance for that? I think there is.
I believe it. I mean, shoot, you've seen The Chiefs only put up 26 points against a Cardinals team just a couple weeks ago. If you hold the Chiefs under 30, the Broncos held them under 30 in a game. I think as long as you can hold the Chiefs to 30, and if it's a cold weather game, then that gives you a shot at home. I mean, every one of these games we see with the Seahawks, it's the same thing. It comes down to the final fourth quarter, and if Russell Wilson and another dude can make a play in the final moments.
Well, let's hope that this game against the Richard Shermans is not one of those games where we come away from this game with a 2-3 score lead and they just do what they're supposed to do. I mean, honestly, out of all the games remaining on the schedule, the one that worries me the most is this game. Coming off the big win against Carolina, looking ahead to the Vikings, which that feels like a must win.
Yeah.
And you've got this game in between at home against the Cupcake Niners, 2-9, who got flexed out of Sunday night because, let's face it, they were put in prime time because in the offseason, the national media, they love themselves some 49ers and handsome Jimmy and how great the 49ers were going to be and how they were going to be better than the Seahawks and probably finish second in that division, if not compete for the division title. And that's why this was put in prime time initially. And lo and behold, we get to this game and it gets flexed out of prime time because the Niners suck like we thought they would. And they didn't hold up their end of the bargain.
Well, at least I know that the Seahawks are concerning themselves with actual matchups rather than just going over and over again in their minds of whether or not the fans are going to boo Richard Sherman or not in this game and whether or not they should.
Good God. Did you watch Pete Carroll's midweek presser?
No.
Okay. It was like 20 minutes long, I'm going to say.
Okay.
And the first 12 minutes of it were all Richard Sherman questions.
Okay.
It was disgusting. Like, seriously, like, I love Richard Sherman. He's one of my favorite people. He brought us a championship. He's brought us one of the most iconic plays in all of Seahawks history. Like when he returns to the field, stand up, nice clap. Thanks, bud. Now you're a 49er. I hope you lose today. Suck it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not booing the guy, but to me.
Well, he'll get booed because he's a 49er. It just goes along with the territory.
Do not boo Richard Sherman. That is stupid.
He might just hear boos because you boo the 49ers. I mean, that's what you do.
Well, I understand if like the whole team like comes out and you boo the Niners. That's one thing.
What's going to be the opportunity where Richard Sherman's on the spotlight where you're going to cheer or clap?
If they do player introductions?
They don't do player introductions for the opposing team.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, there may be just don't boo the guy individually. Like, come on.
Okay.
But
well, I'm not going to cheer him after he makes a good play.
You're making way too much out of this, just like the national media. This is or the rest of the beat reporters for the Seahawks right now, because this is my point. This required one question. Hey, how does it feel to have Richard Sherman coming back? Blah, blah, blah. You think the fans are going to boo or cheer or whatever? Pete gives his answer. Still love Richard. Classic guy. Love them. Da-da-da. I imagine the fans will cheer. Okay, let's talk about the game. No. Not in the press conference. It was question after question about the relationship, how it ended. How was it to manage Richard Sherman when he was here? Was he a pain in the ass? Like, you're just trying to get Pete Carroll to say something, like to stumble over himself, to turn it into a story, because there's not a lot else to write about in their minds that is actually going to get clicks, even though, the 49ers have some pieces. And, I mean, there's some things to look at if you want to actually look at the matchup of this game, but they can't get out of their own way on this annoying storyline. Let it the frick go, guys. He's gone.
How many former Seahawks need to be on the 49ers defense before we're obligated to cheer for the entire team? Because, they have Sherman, they have Cassius Marsh, they have Malcolm Smith. Like, they almost have an entire defense of former Seahawks. Like, do we have to be making noise when they're on the field now, too?
I'm just saying, when it's pregame or whatever, when they're on the field, it's between the lines, boo the hell out of them. Make it hard on them. You betcha.
Okay, just checking.
This isn't complicated. I don't understand why everybody's making this complicated. Like, when he's playing for the team, then screw that guy, right? You're playing for the opponent. But when, you're just going on and off the field, if you see him around town before the game, or on social media or whatever, it's thank you. I appreciate the iconic play and the Super Bowl ring and all the memories. It's not hard. This is freaking easy.
Richard Sherman's having a good season, too.
Good for him.
He hasn't given up any touchdowns. He doesn't have any picks, but they're just not throwing his way. And I think that speaks to the fact that you have a lot of other DBs to throw out on the 49ers.
Yeah, that are objectively terrible. I mean, look, this whole defense, though, as a whole, I mean, it's actually decent. There's not a guy that I look at and go, ooh, he's a game wrecker. But there's nobody on that defense that I look at and be like, oh, man, that guy's a complete and utter liability on every play.
Yeah, the one guy that you look at is, potential game wrecker. You got DeForest Buckner on the inside. You got Armstead, who's having a good year. Those two guys combined.
I like their defensive front.
Yeah. Cassius Marsh having a pretty good season. He has 30 pressures on the season, 5 sacks. He's actually second on the team in sacks behind Buckner.
That'll surprise a lot of Seahawks fans. A lot of people don't like Marsh.
Oh, no, he's third. Ronald Blair, their other edge guy, he has 6. So.
Oh, okay. Sure. Ronald Blair. You bet.
Ronald Blair the third. Excuse me.
The first 2 weren't forgettable enough. They had to make a third one.
But, Solomon Thomas, a first-round pick, he's having a down year. 15 pressures, just 1 sack. That's a little bit surprising. I think the defensive line is definitely their strength.
It's their strength, yeah.
Fred Warner's having a pretty good year, which allowed them to easily say goodbye to Reuben Foster. I mean, that would have been easy regardless, based on the
reports.
Yes.
Yeah, screw that guy.
I think we covered that pretty well on our pick show this week.
We did. That's why I just left it at screw that guy.
But their secondary, I mean, Akella Witherspoon, he's having a rough year. Adrian Colbert. They even have former Seahawk Tyvis Powell is on the Niners.
Oh, no kidding?
Yeah. And Brock Coyle. How could we forget about him? They almost have an entire team of former Seahawks.
Well, we'll see if those guys can stop the run, because they have been pretty good against the run all year. I mean, if we can get the ball moving on the ground, which I think we will. As much as I respect those guys up front for the 49ers, they're not the Rams. They're not the Panthers.
No.
They're not some of these big-time, or the Bears, not some of the big-time defensive fronts that we've gone up against. I expect the Seahawks to get their accustomed, 150 yards per game on the ground again. Just grind it out, win this thing 27-14, and call it a day.
Maybe this team shouldn't be Richard Sherman and the Sherminators. Maybe it should be Richard Sherman and the Kittles, because George Kittle, they're one big offensive weapon he's been tearing it up this year.
He has, and fortunately, the Seahawks have done a good job defending tight ends this year.
Yeah, Greg Olsen
shut him down. If Kittle played running back, I'd be a little more alarmed. But fortunately, he plays tight end instead.
Matt Breida having a good year for the Niners, though. I think he's up near 800 yards already.
Yeah, I don't know where he's from. I've never heard of the guy. I mean, short of like this year. I mean, I've heard his name like a couple times, but
he went to Georgia Southern, of course.
Of course. Was he drafted, undrafted? Does he? I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know what number he wears.
He wears 22. He's the CJ Procise of the 49ers.
Maybe a little less injury prone.
Maybe a little bit less injury prone. Although he has been limited in practice this week. He's been kind of dinged up here and there throughout the week. The difference is he can actually play through injury. Oh, hey, he's from Brandan, Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah. How about that?
Huh. That sounds like a boring place.
Bunch of squares.
Yeah, exactly. All making dollar bets every other day.
Right. Yeah, he was an undrafted guy, 2017.
I don't know. It's tough. This is where you notice that's why everybody's making a story about the Richard Sherman thing, because it's a tough game to talk about going into it, Yeah,
tough to get excited about Matt Breida. Tough to get excited about
Brett Favre light.
That's all I know about the dude, is he went to the same school as Brett Favre.
And he's a nice kid. Like, his interview after his first start, like, I mean, I thought he handled himself really well. A guy that's worked really hard to put himself in this position. He's been efficient. He hasn't turned over the ball a ton. I mean, you got to give him some credit, but he's not a guy that strikes fear into my heart. That's for sure.
Not as handsome as Jimmy Garoppolo. Doesn't have a cool last name like Beathard that you can change into Beathard. He's just Nick Mullins.
Yeah, he's just Nick Mullins. I can't get over that one. Oh, man. That just puts such a bad visual in my head, dude.
Guess you haven't listed enough Better Rivals because that's...
I didn't know.
That's where they go with his last name all the time.
Is it? Okay.
Well, Nick Mullins, looking at his Pro Football Focus numbers, when he is not under pressure, he's 72.5 completion percentage quarterback. Still, touchdown to interception ratio, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. When he is under pressure, he drops significantly, just 45%. Blitzed or not blitzed, that's not a huge difference. He's actually thrown all 4 of his picks when teams haven't blitzed him, and with 3 of those coming with no pressure. So that's not great.
No, that's something to be expected for a first-year starter. I mean, that's not surprising. But, I mean, you kind of look at the overall stats between these two teams, and it's surprisingly similar considering the 2 different seasons these teams are having. Geez, as much as I joke about yards per game, right? But, total yards per game for both of these offenses, 355.2 for the Niners, 355.3 for the Seattle Seahawks.
Got him.
Right? But passing yards neck and neck, rushing yards neck and neck, points per game. I mean, heck, they're within 3 points of one another in points per game. The biggest difference really has been turnovers, and that's been the difference in these two teams' seasons. And I wouldn't expect that the Seahawks would go outside of their MO and start turning the ball over a ton. And let's be honest, this team is going to be whipped into a frenzy to try to get that ball on defense after last week and the inability to grab those balls.
Getting shut out on the ball grabbing.
Need to get your hands on the balls, especially when they're loose balls.
Got to get those loose balls.
Right?
All right, Adam. Well, I think that...
that's a great place to end the first half of the show.
Between the
Richard Shermans and the Sherminators. Richard Sherman's and the former Seahawks.
Featuring George Kittle.
Yeah, so stay tuned for the second half. Balls.
And we are back. One thing that I wanted to mention before we get into our Welcome to the Flock and Do Better and Better at Life segment. On Twitter this week, you had Ian Williams, former defensive lineman for the 49ers, calling J.R. Sweezy out as the dirtiest player in the league. Says, didn't know the Seattle Seahawks had brought back the dirtiest O-lineman I'd ever played against in J.R. Sweezy. I hope the 49ers kick his and their ass this week. Although he put stars for the S's and ass, which I don't know why that's necessary.
Well, Mr. Straight-Laced over there, you'd think you'd agree with that sort of thing, because, I mean, it's much better if you put in an ampersand and like some of the other things because nobody will figure it out.
Yeah.
And like somehow that makes it better. I've never understood that one.
Why not use the dollar signs? And why the asterisks? Why not
use the actual letters that spell the word?
Sure.
Like everybody knows that. Like, I don't understand how that makes it better.
But it's Twitter. Why does he have to censor himself on Twitter?
Anywhere, really. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. But that, to me,
Williams does have a reason to be mad at Sweezy, though. I mean, back when cut blocks were legal, Sweezy dove at his legs and broke his ankle in a game. Like, I understand why he's still mad.
Sure. I don't care. I just love the fact that we've got another dude on the O-line that people are legitimately afraid of. I mean, he is. I saw this on one of the Jimmy Kimmel or Fallon superlatives, right? Like right. with the J.R. Sweezy, he's the most likely guy in the NFL to say things like "as you wish, master." He just looks like one of those evil thugs from cartoons and stuff. Watching the all access sound in sideline shots from this last game against the Panthers, they showed a lot of the O-line and. This is weird to say, but I'm really loving these guys as a group, man. I really do.
This might be my favorite group of O-linemen since having Unger and Giacomini.
Yeah. Okun, that group.
And then before that, I mean, of course, back with Walt and Pork Chop.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking in this
era.
In
the Pete Carroll era, yeah.
Yeah, especially when Moffitt was playing well. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was fun.
I forgot how much I really enjoyed Moffitt in his locker room
before he went straight Breaking Bad. Yeah,
he'd be a guy I wouldn't mind talking to.
Maybe we should try to get interviews again at some point.
We probably should. We need to try harder. at stuff.
Do we?
Yeah.
I don't know. 3 shows a week is a lot to try.
It's a lot to try for. And one guy helping us out and making us feel good about all the trying that we do. A special thanks to associate producer Dustin Mock.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I mean, Dustin's been a big contributor to the show. I
feel like we have to recognize him regularly because, and especially in a week where we have no new flockers.
What? After a Panthers victory? A victory over the Panthers?
Yeah.
No new flockers?
Nobody's super excited.
I'm stunned. Like, I'm literally almost speechless. How does that happen, Brandon? I'm freaking offended. We did an awesome post-game show. We came out and have a show here for you today with all sorts of balls in it. Like, I mean, what? Like, I don't understand. Like, what more do you people want?
Maybe people don't like hearing you saying balls. Maybe
wrong.
Maybe they're trying to tell us something.
I don't think so.
Well, one thing, especially going into December, I'd like people to consider. You can go to getintheflock.com and support the show. That's cool. But you could also considering helping out and supporting the 12s Helping 12s effort at 12shelping12s.com. Mark Collins, Sarah Bryan, Norb Cowili, they do an awesome job with that group. And for the first 12 people who send in a donation of $12 or more, email us at gohawks@seahawkerspodcast.com and let us know, and we'll send in $12 of our own.
Awesome. Oh, for sure. Because they do a really cool job with that.
You said do.
At least it wasn't balls, apparently.
But 12s Helping 12s is accepting nominations for their holiday grants. They're going to be awarding $250 holiday grants for gifts and meals to deserving families. And they're also going to be adopting several cancer patients and their families through Swedish Care Institute and filling their cupboards with groceries and other gifts. So 12shelping12s.com. Check that out. We also have a new affiliate, Adam.
Yes.
Shinesty or Shinesty. I think it's Shinesty.
That sounds better. That's a better ring.
Shinesty, yeah. That doesn't have a good ring at all.
No.
They have Seahawks overalls that are now available for pre-order for delivery in December. They have the old school Seahawks logo. They're overalls. They have a little pocket right up front. And
what kind of fabric are they made of? Are they like heavy duty or are they just kind of for show?
Like, are they work coveralls?
Yeah.
I don't know. They're like $90. They better be heavy duty.
Oh, hell. All right. For $90, yeah. Yeah. I guess if they're heavy duty, I just paid $100 for my Carhartt overalls.
I don't know if they're that heavy duty.
Oh, okay. Because that's what I need to work in the mill. I just saying if I could, up the flare from just the Seahawks hard hat to also Seahawks overalls flies in there.
Well, you gotta go check them out then, because if you go to seahawkerspodcast.com/shine, they have the Seahawks overalls. Those have the old school logo. They have the new Seahawks logo on. It's a blazer. If you really want it, you wouldn't want to wear that in the mill. But
I mean, I could. It would just look super stupid.
And it would.
I mean, there's other occasions where it'd be awesome though.
Sure.
Like your wedding, or
yes. Or somebody else's wedding.
Oh, definitely somebody else's wedding, especially if they're like a Rams fan, or something like that.
And you want to just be super obnoxious at their wedding.
No, it's just the voice of reason is all.
So go there and check that out, and a portion gets kicked back to the show. You don't have to pay anything extra. And for all the proceeds that come in this next week, we're going to send that to 12shelping12s.com too.
Oh, fantastic, man. And hey, don't we have like some sort of Amazon link too?
Yeah, it's all up at seahawkerspodcast.com/support.
Okay.
All that stuff's there.
Yeah.
Amazon link, tickets link. Oh, yeah, we got scorebig.com now too as an affiliate.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't want to go through Ticket Network, scorebig.com, another place to get tickets.
Right.
I gotta pimp all these things out because no new flockers. Did we mention we didn't get any new flockers?
What I got out of today's episode is that when it comes to the value for value model, this week, apparently, we didn't supply any value to anybody. And that hurts my feelings. And I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight. And it's a good thing I have those waterproof pillowcases because it's going to be bad.
That is a good thing.
I'm really sad on the inside. Thanks for that, guys. It's great to be filled with the holiday spirit as I get ready to go and shoot Santa pictures. Was that a decent guilt trip? Was that okay?
It was pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to be at the game this week. Go to getintheflock.com if you want the meetup details Saturday night. Getting together, probably find a pub around Pike Street to meet up at. Sunday, tailgating with the military Seahawkers. You don't have to be a member to come and hang out. And after the game, my go-to spot.
Oh, yeah. Pizza Catfish! That's a great place.
I love that place. I don't know. I might have to cut that out, though, because, I don't need my go-to spot for pizza after the game being super well-known.
Well, what? Because you're so famous, being like, there's A-list celebrities, B-list celebrities. You're like a W-list celebrity, just like me.
I know the line is super long anyway. I don't want to have to wait as long to get my pizza.
Oh, right. Pizza sucks. I think they make their pizza with rats.
I'll just beep out the name.
I hope that doesn't put them out of business, but it just shortens the line a little bit because it's pretty good. Also,
congrats to Trudy in Longview, winner of the Pick'em League this last week. On the Pick'em show, Adam, I did mention that I was giving away a Nas Jones mini helmet. I already gave that away to Adam in Calgary. So Trudy gets a Walter Jones signed mini helmet. So we'll keep it in the Jones family.
Get your Joneses straight.
Jermaine Olay, Toon Hawk, 12th Hawker Locker, Jesper Sacco, and D. Weezy. Top 5 right now. And for the Russell Wilson signed art print. And this week, for the weekly prize, is going to be a Jim Zorn signed replica jersey.
Those are pretty sweet. I have one of those. I'm very proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
They look good. They just framed up on the wall and everything. Yeah.
I'll trust that it's on your wall.
It's in a different room.
Okay.
I probably should. I've got to do some decorating here in the podcast studio.
All your posters are outside of the frame. I don't know what's going on.
I can assure you that my Largent Costicos posters to my right. Yep, exactly. I could never say it. And then my Russ version of it is proudly to my left.
Yeah.
He's armed and dangerous.
You need to get more. Get you an Easily Force poster.
It's a small room, dude.
Well, one way people provide value to the show is by giving us a review. And we got one this week from Piggy0072. It says, "Not changing my name. These guys are the best, for real, not even close, but I'm keeping my name in the Pick'em League." Of course, I think we gave him a hard time because it's Piggy72 Jones rather than a real Pick'em League team name. But I like the steadfastness of our listeners.
You know what? I appreciate the backbone, for sure.
So you know what? I'm not doing it. You don't know me. Right. I'll do what I want.
Was that the full review? I do what I want?
No, that was my commentary.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was it. He says he's keeping his name, and that's it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. But appreciate the review, too. Look, since I guess maybe the well's dried up for new flockers, another way that, you can absolutely help the show, and this is genuine and it would make a huge difference as we continue to grow the audience, get more people under the umbrella of the show here and get them exposed to it. Start sharing the link to the show, man. Do that on your social medias. All that. I don't know exactly how that works, but I'm sure there's ways to do it that you all are smarter than me. But share this with your friends and family. I mean, because this is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, let them know that no matter where they listen, whether it's on Spotify, on Stitcher, we're back in our usual spot on Stitcher. So I guess if you're hearing this, and you listen on Stitcher, then you found it good. And if you know somebody who listens on Stitcher, let them know that there were some hiccups the last few weeks, but it's figured out. Yep. And there's YouTube there, and I think we're closing in on 700 followers on YouTube. So that place is growing. It's good.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a start.
And people, you know what? If you just have a YouTube account and just want to subscribe just to help us out there, we'll throw a few more subscribers our way on YouTube.
Hell yeah. Well, look, just the idea is we're not great at self-promotion.
That's true.
So if you can help us out with that makes a huge difference.
We're trying hard on the content side. It's the marketing side that.
We're just not. That's just not our style, man. It's just not. It never was. That was one of the reasons my photography business struggled at times.
You have to let people know you have a photography business.
And there's that, and then you got to be like, not only do I have one, but I'm really good at what I do. Instead of being like, yeah, it's okay. I do photos, and they're like, oh yeah. I was like, if you want to look at some stuff, show you some things, see if you like it.
Don't be humble.
I guess not.
Yeah.
Don't be Barry Sanders.
That's your problem. You need to be Cam Newton in marketing instead of Barry Sanders.
Every time I signed a wedding, I should have done the first sound signal. Yeah. and pulled open my shirt like I'm Superman.
Yeah, you should actually wear a Superman shirt underneath your formal wedding attire.
Dang, I really screwed that up years ago.
Well,
now that I have it figured out, I'm out of the game, so I don't know what to say.
Well.
I don't miss it.
You know who I do miss? John Davison.
Well, I'll miss him as long as he doesn't win the Pick'em League.
Yeah, well, he's close.
I know. I'm legitimately worried. This is going to be bad for my deal if John wins.
Yeah, he'll let us know. We'll know.
You think? He's a really good trash talker.
He is, yeah. And he's checking in on email. Says, well, I listened to episodes 227 and 228 from a beach in Kerala, southern India.
He's already winning way too much.
Yeah. This post-game quick reaction show is even better when you can't watch it. So just to let you know what a great job you're doing to those people in different countries who can't see the game. I had to make do with the highlights this morning on NFL.com. He says, well, we're out of this 4-game hole and we got to 2-2. So we take that to 6-5, 3 wins against the Niners and Cards, but we have to play and earn them. And we will be 9-5. Kansas City and the Vikings are key games, and we split them and we were 10-6. Most important is we now have the upper hand against the Packers and the Panthers for the wild card. I'm taking credit for the last 2 wins. I flew to India the day of the Packers. You know, John, how can you take credit
exactly
for the Packers game? Especially when on our WhatsApp channel, you thought that the Seahawks lost to the Packers. Like, he called it prematurely. I guess he looked at his phone and saw 24-20 and was like, oh, well, season's over. He thought the Seahawks lost that game.
Yeah, we're calling shenanigans on that one. No, John does not get credit for the Packers win. What's his case for the Panthers win?
I don't know. He didn't make a case. He's just claiming it.
You can't just do that. It's not like you can just pee on the win and make it yours.
He does say, oh, and I put my hands up. What I said about Russell Wilson was complete catfish. Do better, John.
There you go. Oh, I love John. Enjoy the beaches of India, man. Just don't go to that island. That North Sentinelese island or whatever, where there's that isolated tribe.
Oh.
Like, don't go there.
Don't go there?
Did you not see this story?
No.
So there's this kid, he must be in his 20s or something like that, and he's evangelical, trying to spread the word, right? And there's a island off the coast of India, quite some distance, that is forbidden to go to by the government because there's a tribe that's been living there for like 65,000 years untouched. And there's been like 2 fishermen that washed up on shore like accidentally like 10 years ago or something like that. They get stabbed with spears and they're dead. They once tried to fly a helicopter over the island in like 2004 to like just check up on them, see how they're doing. And like, you know, they start shooting arrows at them and crap. And so this kid thinks he's going to go over there and spread the word, the good word to these folks. And so he hires a fishing trolley, goes out there illegally. And even writes in his journal, like, I hope I don't get killed. And he goes
killed.
out there and they stick him with a bunch of arrows. They kill him. They drag him around the beach and they bury him on the beach. They don't want to be screwed with. So, John, just stay away from that island.
Oh, yeah.
Like that, yeah.
No, John's not a lawbreaker.
He says you.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know him that well.
He actually runs a crime syndicate back in England.
He does strike me as a little bit rebellious, though.
Uh-huh.
So. Yeah, just be careful, John.
Exactly.
Well, John had to do better for himself. What do you say we get into our do-betters?
All right, man. My do-better this week is for the city of Missoula, once again. This communist dictatorship that we all live underneath. Like, just the force of an iron fist, they rule us all. With these stupid rules and regulations and meaningless fines.
Making you do stuff like pay for parking and with parking meters.
No, not with a traditional parking meter with like a computer. It's like a quantum computer.
Making you stand in line at the DMV. Oh.
For hours upon hours while they take your money just so you can pull a trailer around. It should just be able to do that like a sovereign citizen, right? No. So they take it a step further, this communist regime. So there's these laws in place about shoveling your sidewalk and how many weeds you can have in your yard. Because apparently you can't just own your property and do whatever the hell you want on it. Like, they're going to force you to do some crap.
Uh-huh.
So, like, It wasn't enough that they, come by and write you a little ticket and put it on your door for not shoveling your sidewalk, which, you know what? That's my prerogative. If I want to sit and wait for it to melt off because the snow will go away without me having to shovel it, might take a couple months, but it will go away all on its own.
You don't even have a sidewalk.
I don't personally, and this rule doesn't apply to me, thank goodness, because I moved out of there. But now all the residents that live behind the Iron Curtain of the city of Missoula city limits, they now, if this county comes out and just assesses that their sidewalk needs to be shoveled, $150.
Wow.
And then they'll hire somebody to come out and shovel it for you and stick you with the bill for that too. This is a money grab. It's a power grab. It's unacceptable. There needs to be checks and balances in this town for the greedy city of Missoula and your incessant rules. Do better.
I seem to remember that rule being on the books, like just as far as having your snow shoveled by a certain time.
It was on the books, but it wasn't $150 fee for them just to come out. Yeah, they just wrote you. It was like a $10 ticket or something like that, right? Which is BS to start with.
Yeah.
But now it's $150, plus they're going to call some professional who's going to jack up their rate to come in and shovel your sidewalk. Wear boots.
That's true. Wear snow boots and just walk through the snow. You're in Montana.
Yeah. Like if somebody wants to shovel their sidewalk, have at it, Haas. If you don't want to, then don't. This is a free country. Last time I checked, $150.
That's a little excessive.
That's insane. That was my backup do better because my original do better, Brandon, was just going to be a recording of my daughter when I picked her up from symphony practice the other day.
Uh-huh.
It was hysterical. She gets in the car immediately, mad. She's like, I hate the girls in the new locker room. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, they're so stupid. They're so stupid. It's so annoying. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, one girl looks at the other and she goes, so-and-so, some guy texted her and she's like, well, what did he say? He said, hey. Oh my gosh. How many Y's did he put on his hey? Well, only one Y. Oh, I don't know what that means. And then my daughter goes off that point. It doesn't matter how many Y's you put on hey. How many Y's does not indicate how much they like you or not. These girls are so ridiculous. It goes on and on. And the whole time I'm just sitting there going, that's my daughter.
That's her.
Yeah. Would have been great.
Sounds just like you.
I did that. I put another one of us out there.
Well, my do better this week is for the Big 12 Conference. And some of these, you talk about ridiculous rules around Montana. The Big 12 is getting poor sportsmanship and just good-natured sports hate confused. Because Brecken Hager from Texas, he had to apologize this last week for saying that Oklahoma, quote, still sucks after the Longhorns win over Iowa State. Now, if you don't know, between the rivalry, Texas and Oklahoma, kind of a big rivalry. And we each have like our things. Texas fans say, what time is it? And when somebody tells them the time, they say, and Oklahoma still sucks. Like that's just their thing. And then Oklahoma fans, they take the hook 'em horns and they do upside down hook 'em horns. Like just this downward, the horns down gesture.
They should apologize for that. That's weak.
Well, it turns out what they found out this last week, there's a big news story about it because West Virginia was doing it and they got flagged twice for unsportsmanlike conduct for doing the horns down gesture.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So here's Brecken Hager having to apologize for saying Oklahoma still sucks. Here's the officials saying that, doing horns down gesture by the players is going to draw a flag. And these are just good-natured sports hate things. I mean, this is just their things that each teams do. We each side has their little dumb thing.
Yeah, it's not like, something against somebody's religion or their race or like anything like that. It's just,
it's not showing anybody up. It's not, it's just
talking about their family.
Dumb, lighthearted stuff. Can we each have our little dumb thing?
Yeah, this is where you express that, is in this arena.
Let's have our stupid traditions and have people understand that both are good-natured sports hate. And for those who don't know the difference, do better.
Oh, my gosh. I believe the head of the NCAA is still Mark Emmert, which supposedly is no relation. And I hope not, because if he's the head of an organization that is this weak sauce and this big of a snowflake, give me a break. oh, my stars, he may have hurt their feelings because he said in Texas still sucks.
Oklahoma still sucks.
And oh, no.
I saw an Oklahoma player do the horns down instead of the horns up, hook 'em horns.
Oh, my stars.
They're going to have to outlaw the regular hook 'em horns gesture because that's going to be offensive to Oklahoma fans because they don't like the hook 'em horns up. So you can't do it. They don't like it.
You can't even make eye contact with your opponents anymore.
You can only look for 2 seconds before you have to avert your eyes. Otherwise, you're staring.
Which is intimidating.
You can't intimidate the other players.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, Big 12's going in the downward direction here.
So in some ways, our culture is evolving the wrong direction. In other ways, our culture is evolving in the correct direction. And in one of those ways is in space.
Space!
This was a hard better at life for me this week. It was between the new Jeep pickup that just was debuted, which is pretty sweet, the Gladiator. I want one really bad.
I saw you were putting it on your Santa list for being a mediocre boy this year.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't I didn't want to lie because that would put me, closer to the naughty category, right? Yeah. And I'm not sure I was in the nice either. I was, mediocre.
Hey, so Santa comes to our house and my kids are okay.
Right. Yeah, exactly. My kid got a ridiculous gift this year, for sure. And, she's so-so. But, I would love a new Gladiator, but probably not going to happen because nobody gets in the flock, so I can't buy myself a truck. So
the guilt trip. There it comes again.
Yeah. Well, one thing I can take some solace in is space and NASA and all the cool things that they do, including the new InSight lander that touched down on the planet of Mars this Monday.
This came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, it's not one of those missions that are necessarily super splashy because it's not really going to move around. It didn't land in a spot that you'd be like, ooh, that's really interesting. There's amazing geology here or, anything like that. You'd be like, so what's the point of this InSight probe? Well, this is the first probe that we have touched down on the surface of Mars that's going to tell us what the guts of Mars looks like. That's right. Whether there's any sort of magma core still, what sort of tectonics are going on, how Mars quakes work. That's right. Mars quakes exist. Sometimes the whole planet rumbles just like it does here on Earth, which is pretty cool. It's going to give us a lot of quote unquote insight into how the planet formed over the years. And will also let us know if that's the inevitable end that a rocky planet going around this sun comes to. Or if maybe that we can, stave that off and not turn into a dust bowl with no water. So to NASA, the InSight probe for surviving 7 minutes of terror, getting through that crazy thin atmosphere, slowing down from 12,000 miles an hour to 5 in all about 6 minutes to land in a spot that was pinpoint. You guys are better at life than Skip Bayless.
My better at life this week is for the Washington State Cougars band. I'm going back-to-back college football in my Do Better and Better at Life. And for those of you probably in the Washington area heard, Washington marching band members injured in a bus rollover heading out to Washington State for the Apple Cup game. And they decided not to complete the trip. Some of them had to go to the hospital. And one of the cool and classy things that the Cougars marching band did was they played Bow Down to Washington in place of the Washington band for that game.
Okay, I was confused. So the Washington's marching band?
Yeah, the Huskies band bus wrecked. And so what the Cougars band did was they learned the Bow Down to Washington song, their
fight song.
Their fight song, yeah. So learning the opposing team's fight song and then playing it for them in their place to start the game. Just kind of a cool move in terms of sportsmanship. I don't know how Cougars fans feel about that after, eventually then losing the game, but they can be happy knowing that, they be good sports about it.
I hope none of those members of the marching band then turned around and said Huskies suck because they'd probably have to apologize.
That's true.
After doing something nice and then having just well-placed sports haste.
You know what? They probably wore like an upside down H.
Well, that'd be offensive because the bus rolled over, Brandan, and all of their band members were upside down.
Exactly. That would be offensive. So stay away from the upside down H's, people.
I'm really rooting for Elon Musk to get this Mars things figured out so that I can leave.
You can go to the moon. That's still pretty close, but far enough away.
Fine. That works for me. There's enough helium-3 there. I can sell it back to all y'all because apparently that's important for something.
The moon's like the Missoula of Earth.
Is it?
You know, your parents are back on Earth.
Yeah, that's true. I just get
parents
a couple hours away.
You're just a couple hours away. Yeah.
Yeah. It's close enough to where, like, you know,
you still
if
visit
I
once in a
really
while.
need something, I'm okay. All right, to the moon.
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
My good buddy, Adam. I'm struggling.
We're off to a great start.
This is going to go perfectly.
This is a great show.